Picture the Viking in your head, the shield wall, the axe, the dragon-proud ship sliding out of the fog toward a monastery that has no idea what is about to happen to it. Hold that image for 1 second. Now watch the sun go down on him, because the man who raided coastlines and made kings tremble had a secret. Every night when the fire burned low and the light died, he was afraid, not of armies, not of rival warlords. He was afraid of the dark itself, and not the way a child fears the dark. He was certain, completely certain, that things lived inside it. Real things, hungry things. The Vikings built an entire world out of that fear, and almost nobody talks about it. It doesn't fit the poster, so we leave it out. But it's written down in their own sagas and their own laws. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The raids are the part we remember. The nights are the part that explain them. Start with the simple fact most documentaries skip. In the far north, winter darkness is not a mood. It is a fact of survival. The sun can vanish for weeks, and night swallows nearly the entire day for months at a time. Now imagine living inside that with no electricity, no streetlights, no glow on the horizon, just a small fire, a long house, and a wall of blackness pressing against the door. The dark wasn't an idea to them, it was a place. So the Vikings populated that place. Their world was crowded with creatures that only moved when the light was gone. The most feared of all was the draugr, the walking dead, a corpse that climbed out of its own grave at night. The draugr was no flimsy ghost. The sagas describe it as physical, swollen, and impossibly strong. It could crush men, drive cattle mad, and grow larger as it fed on fear. These stories were not bedtime fun. People genuinely believed. Here is the proof they took it seriously. Vikings designed elaborate burials specifically to keep the dead from coming back. They weighed bodies down with stones. They tied the limbs. Sometimes they even removed the head and placed it by the feet. Think about what that means. These were rituals built to stop a neighbor, a brother, a parent from rising in the dark and walking home. You don't pin a corpse down for a story you find amusing. You do it because you are scared, and the fear shaped how they built. Some houses had a special corpse door, a temporary opening used only to carry out the dead. Afterward, they bricked it up. The logic was chilling. A draugr could only return the way it left, so if it left through a door that no longer existed, it could not find its way back inside. This is architecture born from terror. Every detail of their homes whispered the same quiet message. Keep the dark out. Keep what's in it out too. The dark didn't only hold the dead, it held the wild. Beyond the firelight roamed trolls, monstrous and slow-witted, said to lurk in mountains and forests. They were strongest at night and famously turned to stone if caught by sunrise. That detail matters more than it seems. Sunlight was a weapon. Daybreak was salvation. In Viking thinking, the rising sun didn't just bring warmth, it actively destroyed the things that hunted them. Morning was not pretty. Morning was rescue. Now layer this onto a raider's life. He sailed for days across open, freezing water. At night, that sea became a black mirror hiding sea serpents and drowned spirits. The same waves that carried him to glory could carry something back. This is the contradiction nobody wants to print. The fearless raider was also a man who lay awake listening to the wind, gripping an amulet, praying the door held. His courage by day and his terror by night lived in the same chest, and that amulet is a clue. Thor's hammer, worn around the neck, wasn't just decoration, it was protection against the unseen. Thousands have been found across Viking lands. People didn't wear them for fashion, they wore them for safety in the night. Even their gods reflected the dread. The world itself, in Norse belief, was destined to end in ragnarok, a final darkness where the sun is devoured by a wolf and swallowed whole. The ultimate nightmare was simple. The light goes out forever. Sit with that. The greatest fear in their entire mythology was not death in battle. Warriors actually welcomed that. The greatest fear was permanent dark, an endless night with no sunrise to burn the monsters away. That tells you everything. So why does this change how we see them? Because we've been reading Vikings backward. We treat the raids as proof of fearlessness. But look again. A man surrounded by terrors all night might raid at dawn precisely because daylight felt safe. The violence we remember and the fear we forgot are not opposites. They're connected. A culture that genuinely believed corpses walked and the sun could be eaten was a culture living under constant pressure. That pressure had to go somewhere. Their laws even prepared for it. Saga's record formal proceedings to deal with the undead, almost like a court summoning a draugr to leave. They didn't treat hauntings as fantasy. They treated them as a problem with rules and procedures. That's the detail that should stop you cold. You only build legal procedure around something you fully believe exists. To them, the monster in the dark wasn't metaphor. It was a neighbor, a danger, a thing that needed a documented response. Now go back to that opening image. The ship in the fog, the monastery that doesn't see it coming, the axe rising. We always freeze the story right there at the peak of the terror he creates in everyone else. But press play one more frame. That same warrior will sail home. The fire will burn down. The door will creak, and the man who terrified a continent will lie in the dark, listening, certain that something out there is listening back. The raids are the part we remember because they make a great poster. The nights are the part that actually explain them. Strip away the cartoon, and you find people, real people, living at the edge of survival and shadow. And maybe that makes them more impressive, not less. It's easy to be brave when you fear nothing. It's far harder to sail into battle when you spend every night certain the dark is full of things that want you dead. That is the Viking the poster never shows. Not fearless, surrounded by fear and choosing to act anyway. The dark shaped their burials, their homes, their gods, and their nightmares. It shaped the raiders we still talk about today. So next time you picture that ship sliding out of the fog, remember what waits for him at the other end of the day. The sun goes down, the monsters come out, and the toughest people in Europe pull the door tight. If this shattered the image you walked in with, that's the point. The fearless Viking is a myth. The frightened one is the real story. Follow for more history the posters leave out, and tell me what you'll never unsee now.